Hey everyone, welcome back to csforeveryone.com. I'm your host, Robert Bice, and in this video we're going to talk about the operations that you can perform on data types. Very exciting stuff. We're talking addition, subtraction, multiplication. Whoa, that is dark behind me. Good lord. That is ridiculous. We're going to be covering... I'm just like reaching into the abyss. This is terrible. Like, I'm waiting just to rewatch these videos later on and just have a ghost face pop up just slowly behind me. I'm just creeping myself out. I shouldn't be doing this. It's dark in my bedroom. Like, it is pitch black in here. It's pretty creepy. I swear if I'm like reaching back, a ghost would like grab my hand and just whoa. Just kidding. There ain't a ghost there, guys. We're good. No ghosts. We're good. Room is not haunted. Anyway, where were we? Yes. The operations that you can perform on data types. So let's go ahead and just go back to what we had last time. Hopefully you didn't close anything. If you did, that's fine. Just go ahead and remake everything. You can delete all this code, all the vars that we made in the console logging. Doesn't matter, don't need it. All you need is an empty HTML file with the script tags and your browser pointing to that file. If you have closed your browser, you can just open up a tab and then drop it in, and it will open it, and then you can inspect element, click on console, and you're back. We're all back now. We're on the same page, so go us. So let's talk about the operations that you can perform on these data types. So the very first one is the addition operator. That is, addition. It adds up the two numbers. So let's make a variable for number 1 and make a variable for number 2. And then we can do var num3 is equal to num1 plus num2. And take a wild guess as to what this will console log. You guessed it, 20. Who would have thought? So that makes perfect sense. Nothing confusing there. You put the first operand, operator, operand. The operand is what gets the operation done to it. How do I word that? These are the operands. The things that aren't the actual numbers are the operands. That's what you need to know. So that's addition. Very simple. Let's talk about subtraction. Don't really need to talk about it and just do it. Save it, run it. -10. So it handles the negative for us. And we can actually go into later on. We'll go into how the binary in the computer is used to represent negative numbers. It's actually pretty cool because you can't just computers don't know what a negative sign is, so they have to find ways of sequencing ones and zeros in a way that can be translated into a negative with a number after it. So pretty cool stuff, but we'll get into that later. It's not really that cool. It's kind of cool, but it won't blow your mind or anything. And next up is multiplication, and that is the asterisk symbol. So 5 times 15 is 75. Who would have thought? That's proper and correct. And then division, last but not least, should be like 0.33333 repeating, of course. That's the Leroy Jenkins. No, it's 32. 32.33 in Leroy Jenkins. That's their percentage of survival. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hopefully you've at least heard of Leroy Jenkins. But in the video, the guy's like, "What's our chance of survival?" And the other guy's like, "I'm coming up with a 32.33 percentage of survival." And the guy's like, "Christ!" And then they all die. It's a great video. Anyway, those are the 4 main operators you'll mostly be using. You don't spend a lot of time just adding numbers, though. You'll get the hang of things later, but you really don't need to be. It's very basic. It's just adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. That's it. Things get a little bit more interesting when you throw in the modulo operator. This is called the modulo operator, and it returns the remainder of division. So what does that mean? Well, if you say I divide 5 by 10, we get 5 back. 5 divided by 10, well, if you try to divide 5 by 10, you can't really do that. 10 divided by 5 is 2 with no remainder. But let's try a different, let's do 2 into, or 10 divided by 4. this will spit out 2. So 2. That's because 4 goes into 10 twice. So when you try to divide 10, when you do 10 modulo 4, you divide 10 by 4, and whatever's left over, so 2 in this case, because 4 only goes into 10 twice, it does not fit perfectly. It does not divide into it perfectly. You get 2 back. So if we did 3, how many times does 3 go into 10? With what remainder? It goes in there 3 times, and that gets us to 9, and then there's 1 as the remainder, because you need 1 more to get to 10. Let's try 15 divided by 2. So 2 goes into 15 7 times, and the remainder of that would be 1. So this would spit out 1. So 1 is the remainder when you do the modulo operator on 15 and 2. Remember that you're usually going to be doing the bigger number first and moduloing it by the smaller number. So let's do a little more. Just get some practice in there. 8 divided, or 15 modulo 8, 7. And that's because 8 goes into 15 one time, and if you try to add another 8 to that, you get 16, so you're over 15. So you can't divide 8 into 15 any more than one time. And when you do divide 8 into 15 one time, you have 7 left over, because you need 7 to reach 15 from 8. It's a little weird at first. I find younger, I started learning this stuff when I was in 10th grade or something, and I was really bad at math back then, so I was a little weirded out by it at first. Don't let it intimidate you. It doesn't come up a whole lot, but it's really useful for some algorithms that we will get to. Just keep it in the back of your mind, know what it is. If you see this, know it's the modulo operator. So those are the main operators that you're going to be using on numbers. Let's talk about some operators that you can use on strings. And really, there's only one main operator that you use on strings, and it's the plus sign, and we'll show what that does right now. So var string, or my string, or, this var, this is a string, equals, let's call it hello, and then let's make another one and name it this string2 is equal to Robert. So we can do console.log. This is a string plus string2, and we will get, take a wild guess, hello Robert. No spaces in between them, blah blah blah, because we didn't put a space here. If you put a space here, it will add it there. It literally just, when you do a plus sign with 2 string operands, it literally just crams them together. And this is something called string concatenation. Don't let it scare you. It's just adding 2 or more strings together. That's all it is. Nothing complicated. They just named it to, piss the whole world off and confuse rookie programmers. What are you going to do? It is the concatenation operator. That's what the plus sign is when you use strings on it. Now here, this raises an interesting question. What happens if we use a number data type on it? Let's find out, shall we? Very simple. It literally it converts, and this happens under the hood of the computer, so to speak, behind the scenes. It converts the num into a string. So it converts it from a 4, and it essentially does this to it, puts quotation marks around it. That's about it. And then it just concatenates it. So if you ever add a number to a string within a console.log or on most other variables, it will all just turn into a string and concatenate it. That's pretty much it. So those are the main operators that you'll be using throughout these programming tutorials, and these things have a lot of uses as we will progress, especially string concatenation. That's really useful and has a crapload of applications. Obviously, adding, multiplying, subtracting, dividing, those are all extremely useful. You use those a good bit. The modulo one is the one that is not used a terribly high amounts, but when it is used, holy crap, it is useful, and you will be like, whoa, how did they think of that? When you see some of the algorithms that people have exploited the modulo operator to create. So that's all you need to know for this video. I'll post the next one hopefully tomorrow or the next day, and take that quiz down below to hopefully feel like you've got a solid understanding. If you don't get anything on the quiz, feel free to post a question in the comments. I get emails every time someone comments. I mean, not a lot of people are reading this, so I mean, it's like, if you comment, I will respond because I get email, and you'd be the only person out of the 5 other people that are watching these videos to actually ask a question on the comments. So feel free to. You're not bothering me if you do it. I have a lot of free time, so thank you. See y'all.